Throughout the evening, we're going to give it sort of a roast. If you have some funny or not so funny stories about Chris, you'll be able to come up a little bit later. Okay, since I'm the big brother, I get the first crack at him. You know, we came, I don't know if you know, we came from a really large family. There were 6 brothers and a sister. So as the family dynamics changed over the years, for example, the pacifier. When me and my other next younger brother were growing up, the pacifier drops on the floor, and of course my mother picked it up, put it away until she could boil it. The middle kids come along, and it drops the pacifier. She rinses it off and gives it to him. Now, when Chris came along, he was always dropping the pacifier. He was always dropping the pacifier, and when he did, Mom just picked it up, make sure there was no cruds on it, and popped it in his mouth. Okay, another dynamic changes through the years. You know, when the first kids come, mom and dad just can't get enough of the baby. They're always taking care of him most of the day. The middle kids come around, and mom and dad were just busy making sure nobody hits and kicks and squeezes everybody. Now, of course, when Chris came along, Mom and Dad spent most of the time hiding. You could see Dad behind the bedroom door, looking out, making sure no one was there, and slamming the door. Okay, one more thing about the family dynamics. Swallowing the coins. The first couple, you know, somebody always swallowed the coin. When I was young, and Mom and we swallowed a coin. Mom and Dad panicked, rushed us to the hospital, and they demanded we have X-rays. Okay, and the middle brothers came along. It came to, well, we'll just watch to make sure it passes. Now, when Chris came along, he was a strange kid. He was always swallowing coins.
He was a slot machine.
Basically. And by that time, Dad just deducted the money from his allowance. Didn't care about it at all. Okay, I think it's kind of quick. I have 2 stories. One called the August incident. Okay, it's kind of hard to separate brothers, so it's going to be 2 brothers within the story. It was in the summer. I have a brother, Jerry. You know how sometimes you can know what a kid's going to grow up to be? Well, I have a brother. His name is Jerry. He grew up to be a geologist. And of course, Chris grew up to be a soldier. Now, out in the summer, Jerry's always digging holes, picking up rocks, putting them in his mouth, digging holes all the time. You know, he drops the rocks in his pants. He never really had any use for pockets, so he was always shaking around and putting rocks in his pants. Now, Chris, he followed Jerry around in the holes. His belly flop ran and belly flopped in the holes in the dirt. Now, you understand that when he does that, his white T-shirt gets dirty, his face gets mud on it. Another thing you should know is that year, Chris never wore pants. Now, he did wear a diaper. I don't know about tonight, but he did wear a diaper. And it was always halfway down his butt. Okay, and the story started. It took about a week. Here we go. Jerry's out there digging holes. He's done. He's with his rocks, happy in the backyard. And Chris comes along, jumps the hole, so he gets up, and of course he looks like he's camouflaged. And that's what he wanted to do. His t-shirt was all muddy. His face was muddy. He was a happy boy. He went up and climbed the tree in the backyard. And he goes out, we asked him what he was doing, he goes like this, looking for rustlers. Now, we really didn't know if he knew what a cow was, but strange kid, okay, no problem. The next day, same thing, Jerry's digging a hole, he comes along, jumps into it, gets all dirty, and it was a rainy week, so it's mud all over the place, mud on his face. This time, he brings his 6-gun. Shooter with a string over his shoulder, climbs up the tree, looking out, looking for rustlers. No problem. It's just we always look at him sideways anyway. Okay, the third day came along, and he comes out. Same thing. He jumps in the hole, and this time he's got his red and yellow binoculars. Climbs up the tree. Notice Chris up the tree. His red and yellow binoculars, his 6-gun, pants hanging halfway down, looking for rustlers. Okay, by this time we're going. Okay, this kid's really went over the hill. Next day, there he comes out again. The same story. Digging the holes, jumping in. It was a muddy spring, or August, it was muddy August, and he jumps in the holes, make sure looks like he's got camouflage on, and this time he's bringing his favorite hat. Now, this year, or about a year and a half, Chris's favorite color was pink. And that's where my dad really started grumbling underneath his breath. This kid's going to be the death of me yet. So here Chris comes out. He's got muddy. He's got camouflage on him. He's climbed the tree. He's got a 6-gun shooter. He got his binoculars. He's got a pink floppy hat on with his pants halfway down, hanging down. And looking for rustlers. The moral of the story is, we found out the next day he was looking at Amy Rustler, the next door little girl. And Amy never turned his back on Chris the rest of the summer. She made sure she was in front of him. One more. I'm done. When Chris was young, he was blonde. Yes, it's a blonde story. So, how many little blonde boys does it take to screw in a light bulb? The answer is none. They use hammers. There's Chris out in the garage, swinging his hammer around. He had light bulbs all around him. Bam! Bam! And that's when Dad started the countdown. 14 years, 6 months, 2 days, 3 hours. Okay. Throughout the evening, you're going to have a chance. If everyone wants to come up right now and has a story about Chris, we can start the music again. You guys start dancing or something. Anybody?